So, a show of hands. How many of you have a life verse? I do. The verse of scripture that you've memorized and either use as a mantra to live your life by, or you can pull up in times of difficulty to help you regain your footing and remind you of who you are and whose you are. The common ones that always spring to my mind are Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Hebrews 12:1-2, let's rid ourselves of every obstacle and the sin which so easily entangles us, and let's run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking only at Jesus, the originator and perfecter of our faith. The football fan verse, John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, so that everyone who believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life. Then there's my personal life verse, Malachi 3:6, I, the Lord, do not change. In today's readings, we encounter two more verses that often bring encouragement and comfort to those who recall them. From the gospel reading, John 6:35, Jesus said to them, I am the bread of life. The one who comes to me will not be hungry, and the one who believes in me will never be thirsty. And from Psalm 34, verse 8, taste and see that the Lord is good. How blessed is the man who takes refuge in him. These verses clearly speak of God's goodness and protection, of his care for us and our positions of safety in his care. When I was a child, I loved the song we would sing in Sunday school, He's got the whole world in his hands. I loved the image of the entire world being cradled gently in God's palms like a delicate baby bird, protected, warm, and safe. It's funny how as a child I always pictured those hands like the Allstate logo, palms open to the sky, the world exposed but somehow still safe, protected. But as a nature-loving child myself, and the mom to 4 nature-loving children who would find any excuse to rescue small critters from the outdoors and bring them into the house, it occurs to me now we never carried anything we believed precious and fragile like this. We would fear dropping it or it wriggling loose and falling to the ground and getting injured. We would instead carry those critters in a cupped, covered hand. I knew that I was doing this for the safety and protection of the creature in my care, but I wonder what the critter enclosed in my hands was experiencing. Was it feeling safe and protected as I intended? Or did it only know darkness and loss of control? Did it sense it was moving due to the will of another and fearing its fate? When I am in a dark place, I must admit that my mind doesn't naturally go to, I must be in the protective hands of God. Instead, mine is lost in the seeming chaos of the situation and tries to make sense of it. Just as God used the Logos, his word, to create order out of chaos at creation, so we, his image bearers, do the same. We tell ourselves stories to try to make the chaos understandable, to find a logic we can hold on to and work with. The problem, as shame researcher Brene Brown points out, is that these stories we tell ourselves are often fiction. Our minds are not creating them to find the truth, although at the time that is exactly what we tell ourselves we are pursuing. The stories we create are for self-protection. We need the pain and confusion to stop. We need a place for our anger, shame, or vulnerability to go. So we tell ourselves a story where we're the hero, or at least not the bad guy. A story where everything has a purpose and we have clarity. Our spouse comments that they are almost out of clean socks. We snap and say, well, you know how to use the washing machine. We've told ourselves that the comment was more than an observation about socks. It was a commentary on our lack of competence as a household manager or a partner, then spun to make it about our partner's lack of ability to contribute to the household chores and maybe to the marriage itself. A friend doesn't call or text for a few days when we normally hear from them every day or two. Later, we see a social media post where they were out to dinner with another friend. We try to brush it off, but before you know it, we're angry at them. Eventually, we're questioning why we're friends with them at all, when it is obvious they make an effort to meet up with their friends, but not with us. Right now, you might be thinking, this would be a good time for one of those life verses. Maybe, do not let the sun go down on your anger. Or, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Or, bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you has a grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you. It's why many of us have written them down and put them on our refrigerators or bathroom mirrors, or why we've saved them on the lock screens of our phones or computer screensavers, if people still use screensavers. So they are always in front of us, reminding us of who we are and whose we are. And for most people, it does help. It's the crack that lets the light shine in, to paraphrase Leonard Cohen. But for some of us, namely those suffering from depression and anxiety, the darkness and chaos have become too strong, and we have become very good storytellers. This brings us to Elijah. The passage we read today comes in the middle of Elijah's story. Before the section we read today, Elijah was living his best prophet life. He'd been saved from a drought and kept from starvation via food-bearing ravens. He miraculously kept a bowl of flour from running out. He raised a boy from the dead. He was bowed to in the streets. He boldly confronted a king. He put 450 of Baal's prophets to shame, then killed them all. As prophets go, he was doing pretty well for himself. Then, King Ahab told Queen Jezebel that Elijah had killed all the prophets of Baal. As a worshiper of Baal herself, this did not go over well, and she swore to kill Elijah as he had killed her prophets. So Elijah ran away. The Elijah who God had cared so much for, he fed him using the very birds of the air. The Elijah who had the power to raise someone from the dead. The Elijah who had just killed 450 prophets of Baal. That Elijah was scared off by the words of an angry, bloodthirsty queen whose own God had just been humiliated by Elijah himself. And he not only ran, he went a whole day's journey into the wilderness, collapsed under a broom tree, and asked God to kill him. Elijah went from being a powerful, confident prophet to a weak, suicidal man in a day. Why? Scripture doesn't tell us explicitly, but I don't think I'm going too far afield when I say that Elijah had gotten very good at telling himself stories, and they were starting to work on him. There's a song by the band's 21 Pilots about a man with depression whose car radio is stolen, so now he's left with just quiet and the thoughts in his own head. He says, "I have these thoughts so often I ought to replace that slot with what I once bought, 'cause somebody stole my car radio, and now I just sit in silence. Sometimes quiet is violent." The big dramatic acts are done. The drought is over. The prophets of Baal are dead. Elijah stands alone, the sole prophet of Israel. The message has been delivered. There are no more external distractions. Now it is quiet. Now the stories can begin. How does God expect me to continue on this path alone? I killed all the prophets, but instead of fearing me and listening to my message, Jezebel wants to kill me. What else am I supposed to do? The drought is over. The people will be content and no longer looking to me for answers or to speak to God on their behalf. What is my purpose anymore? In short, Elijah is depressed. He has many of the classic signs. He's exhausted with no energy to move forward. He's lost interest in things that he was once passionate about. He seeks solitude. He's suicidal. And those of us with depression are excellent at telling stories that chink up the cracks and make the darkness darker. We are experts at convincing ourselves that we are the lowest of the low and that there will never be light or order or purpose again. Our stories are violent. How do you deal with someone like this? For Elijah, God let him sleep. He also sent an angel with food and water, and to make sure Elijah ate and kept up his strength. God also gave him time to make a 40-day journey through the wilderness so that he could arrive at the holy place of Horeb in his own time and under his own effort. By the time Elijah arrived at Horeb, he had been putting one foot in front of the other, one day at a time, for over a month. He had moved himself from wanting to die to surviving, one step at a time. He was also able to articulate his fears and was finally able to talk to God about them and listen to God's response. When Jonah told God he'd be better off dead, God confronted him. God let Job mourn and rage and debate. He sent David a counselor in Nathan. He gave Simone Biles the courage to step back from Olympic competition. He gave me a therapist and medication. I am thankful for the days when a verse or a meme lets a bit of light in. I hope to look back on this time one day and say with St. John of the Cross, "O night that guided me, O night sweeter than sunrise, O night that joined lover with beloved, lover transformed by beloved." In the meantime, I am thankful for a Savior who has cried, "Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani," my God, why have you forsaken me? Because I know he hears my cry and he understands. Amen.